In this video, we're going to illustrate how students will have an editor, and the editor is going to keep track of the author's work. So we'll work in author-editor pairs. So let's say we have some hypothetical class here with Isaac Newton and Johannes Kepler here. And let's say that Kepler is going to be the editor for Newton, and Newton's going to be the editor for Kepler. So this is the professor's master checklist. This is what I'm providing for you. And so here's some hypothetical assignments over here. Now, meanwhile, you have an identical, not an identical, but a related spreadsheet that you own. So I own this one with the blue tab here. You own this one with the yellow tab. And the idea is what you're going to do is you want to move the information from my page over here into yours. So if you do it this way right here, all of this, you don't want to have to type anything in, all right? So you want to be able to basically just move the information from here to here without doing any copying and pasting yourself. And the way you do that is what's called the import range command. And so what we're going to do is we're going to look at the import range command, and the syntax is you're always going to start with the equals, which I don't illustrate here because it would actually turn it into that equation. I'll say equals import range, and then the argument is defined by the beginning of a parentheses, and then the quote indicates the beginning of the spreadsheet URL, Uniform Resource Locator, the address. The other quote indicates the end of that, and then the comma is going to separate the URL from the specific sheet name and range. So let's actually illustrate this. So we're going to start from the professor's master checklist, and we want to import the assignments started at A2. That happens to be on the tasks page. So following the syntax, we're going to use the import range command and get the URL for this spreadsheet. So if I click on tasks, this up here is the URL. Now I go to the student's work and I say, okay, what I'd like to do is I'd like to say equals import range, beginning parentheses, quote, paste in the entire URL, and then end quote, and then comma to separate the two. Now I'm going to start another quote right here, and I'm going to put the term tasks, and then the exclamation point indicates I'm working on a worksheet within a spreadsheet. And I wanted to start with A2 and go all the way to the end of A. I have to end it with a quote and then a parentheses. Now when I do that, it's going to go and it's going to look for the information that was in the professor's list, and it came over to this list. So now if I go over here to the professor's list here and I change something, so let's say I call this colleagues, and I change the name there, colleagues is now going to be reported over here on this list. Again, this is the students list, this is the professor's list. So if I click on another item right here, let's say I choose the name, let's say infrared. I'll click on infrared. Notice that's changed on the professors, but because I'm importing the range from the professors to the students, it'll also show up instantly over there very soon. Now, what happens is that the student is now going to verify where they completed that particular assignment. So they might type, okay, I'll say colleagues for, let's say 616, right? And so now they want to show where they linked that. They're going to link this to the actual location in the web page. So by highlighting the text and inserting a link, Command K, they could put in the location of where they're going to illustrate that. So I'm just going to put in here a filler. I'll just say that's going to my own web page right there. So now the editor comes along. This is Johannes Kepler looking at Isaac Newton's work, and they check out this, and they go to that page, and everything matches. Now they're ready to give an approval for it. So they're going to put their Johannes Kepler. But when I look back on the main sheet here, the professor sheet, I don't see any indication that they've actually approved it. If, however, I go to do the import range the reverse direction for Isaac Newton, I'm going to look at Isaac Newton's page here, and I'm going to copy this URL. In other words, taking the student's URL, I'm going to copy that. And now I'm going to go to the professor's checklist here, and I'm going to say, okay, let's actually paste that in. So I'll say equals import range, quote, parentheses, and quote, put in now the student's URL, end quote, comma, and then the actual tab was called verification, and you have to make sure everything is spelled correctly. And then the exclamation point indicates you're referring to a specific worksheet within the spreadsheet. In other words, a specific tab within the worksheet. And then the range that we're looking at there was going to be, I believe, C2, where the initials were, all the way to the end of C, and then I must end the quote and then a parentheses. Now, when I do this, it's going to go and it's going to pick that up from the other sheet, and you'll see, okay, certainly it picks up Johannes Kepler's signature there. If I go back to the student's worksheet, and let's say that Newton has said, okay, here's my infrared assignment, and they put in the URL to the specific location, their website where they do that. Let's just put there csun.edu. Okay, they apply it. So now that the Johannes Kepler checks the work and it's good, he'll put his initials one more time here, JK. And because we did the import range in the reverse, now we should see the JK appearing right there. So this is the master page right there, and then it's going to repeat all the way down, and so it's going to show up JK, and sure enough, it just pops in. Sometimes it takes a way to populate. Okay, so the idea is that you're going to import the range from one direction and then the reverse direction.